The story of life in Chile begins with the extraordinary distances that separate its people. In the north, communities live beneath the intense sun of the Atacama Desert, where mining towns have grown around some of the richest mineral deposits on Earth. In central Chile, millions of people live and work around Santiago, commuting through a modern capital where offices, universities, crowded neighborhoods, and expanding suburbs sit beneath the Andes. And farther south, the rhythm changes again, as farming communities, fishermen and families live among forests, islands, rain, and colder waters. Then there is the far south. In Patagonia, towns are separated by enormous distances, powerful winds shape everyday routines, and reaching another community can mean hours on the road or even traveling by ferry. Along Chile's Pacific coast, fishing ports and working cities depend on the sea, while inland communities build their lives around agriculture, mining, industry, and trade. Within this single, remarkably long country, where someone lives can completely change what everyday life looks like. A miner in northern Chile, an office worker commuting through Santiago, a fisherman on the Pacific coast, and a family living in Patagonia may experience the same country in entirely different ways. This is the story of Chile, not simply its deserts, mountains, and coastline, but the people who have built their lives between them. A day in Chile begins with the first light touching the high peaks of the Andes. But in the homes below, it starts with the familiar sounds of a nation waking up. In a Santiago apartment, it's the hiss of an espresso machine. In a southern fishing village, it's the sound of boots on a wooden pier. The morning is a national migration. In Santiago, the metro system swells with millions of commuters. They stand shoulder to shoulder, a silent river of office workers, students, and laborers flowing from vast residential suburbs toward the city center. On the surface, the streets fill with buses and cars in a daily battle of traffic. At the same time, in the port of Valparaiso, fishermen are already returning with the morning's catch. In the Central Valley, farm workers are in the fields, tending to the grapes and avocados that will be shipped across the world. And in the far north, a bus carries miners high into the mountains for the start of a long shift. This is the rhythm of ordinary life, a world away from the postcard images of Patagonia. It is a country of hard work, long commutes, and deep family ties, where the challenges of a modern economy are met with a quiet resilience. In the small moments, the shared breakfast of marraqueta, bread with avocado, the quick coffee at a corner cafe, the true character of the Chilean people reveals itself. To understand Chile is to live through one of its days. The morning is for work. The cities are at their busiest, a rush of productivity and purpose. But as the day progresses, the rhythm changes, shaped by culture and necessity. Lunch, around 1 or 2 in the afternoon, is an important pause. While the quick desk-side lunch is common in busy offices, many still value a proper, sit-down meal. The Menú del Día, a fixed-price lunch special, is a staple across the country, offering a simple, hearty meal that is the main source of fuel for the day. The afternoon is a return to work, often stretching late into the evening. The standard Chilean workday is long, one of the longest in the developed world. This has a profound impact on family life, leaving little time for leisure during the week. As evening approaches, around 6 or 7, the cities begin their second migration, as workers head home. But the day is not over. This is the time for once. More than just a snack, once is a cherished national ritual. It is a light evening meal where families gather to share tea or coffee, bread, cheese, cold cuts, and pastries. It is a moment to decompress, to connect, and to share the stories of the day. For many families, this is the most important meal, a time when everyone is finally together. Dinner, if eaten at all, is often a much later and lighter affair. The social life of younger Chileans begins late, with friends meeting for drinks or food well after 9 o'clock. The day in Chile is a marathon, a long journey of work and responsibility, punctuated by moments of connection around the family table. Santiago is the undeniable center of Chile. Home to nearly half the country's population, it is the engine of the economy, the seat of government, and the heart of its cultural life. For many Chileans from the regions, Santiago is a symbol of opportunity, a place to move for a better education and career. Life for millions of Santiaguinos is defined by the commute. The city is vast, and social classes are often segregated by neighborhood or comuna. A worker might live in a working-class district in the south and travel for over an hour by metro and bus to clean offices in the wealthy business districts of the northeast, known as Sanhattan. This daily journey is a physical manifestation of the country's deep-seated inequality. The city offers a lifestyle that is modern and dynamic, with world-class restaurants, theaters, and parks. The business districts, with their glass skyscrapers set against the stunning backdrop of the Andes, feel like they could be in any major global city. But this modernity comes at a cost. Housing is expensive. A young professional on an average salary will struggle to afford rent in a central neighborhood. This pushes people further out into the sprawling suburbs, leading to even longer commutes. The air quality, especially in winter, can be poor as pollution gets trapped by the surrounding mountains. And the pace of life is fast and often stressful. Santiago is a city of trade-offs. It offers the best opportunities in the country, but it demands a great deal in return: long hours, long commutes, and a high cost of living. The most extraordinary thing about living in Chile is how your reality can change depending on where you are on its long, narrow map. The country's geography is so extreme that it creates not just different climates, but entirely different ways of life. In the north, you live with the sun and dust. Life in the Atacama Desert is a negotiation with dryness. Water is a precious, carefully managed resource. The sun is relentless, shaping the architecture and the rhythm of the day. The economy is dominated by the giant copper and lithium mines. Travel 1,000 kilometers south, and you are in the Central Valley. The climate is Mediterranean, with warm, dry summers and cool, wet winters. This is the agricultural heart of Chile, a landscape of vineyards and fruit orchards. This is where the majority of the population lives. Another 1,000 kilometers south, and you enter the Lake District and forests of southern Chile. Here, rain is a constant companion. Life is green. The landscape is dominated by temperate rainforests, lakes, and snow-capped volcanoes. People heat their homes with wood, their lives tied to the forest and farm. Go even further south, and you reach Patagonia. This is a world of wind, ice, and vast, empty spaces. The distances between towns are enormous, and the winters are long and harsh. Life here requires a special kind of resilience. To live in Chile is to understand that the person in Punta Arenas and the person in Arica share a flag and a language, but their daily experiences of the world could not be more different. To build a life in the Atacama Desert is to adapt to a world with almost no water. In coastal cities like Antofagasta or Iquique, every drop of fresh water is either piped from the Andes, hundreds of kilometers away, or produced by desalination plants. It is a massive feat of engineering that makes life here possible. The desert itself is not empty. It is the source of Chile's greatest wealth. The giant copper mines, like Chuquicamata, are like cities in themselves. They have created mining towns like Calama, places that exist to support the industry. Life for a mine worker is a life of extremes. Many work on a shift system, such as 7 days on, 7 days off. For their week of work, they live in company camps, high in the mountains, away from their families. The work is physically demanding and dangerous, but the pay is good, often the best in the country for skilled manual labor. This is the trade-off that draws thousands to the north. They sacrifice time with their families for a salary that can provide a better future. This creates a unique social dynamic, with towns and cities full of families where a parent is absent for half the month. Copper is the backbone of the Chilean economy. The country is the world's largest producer, and the price of copper on the global market can directly impact the national mood, funding everything from social programs to infrastructure. But behind the macroeconomic statistics are the lives of the people who work in the industry. A miner's day starts long before sunrise, with a bus ride that can take hours, climbing from a coastal city up to the high-altitude mines. The scale of these operations is difficult to comprehend. Fleets of giant trucks, each the size of a small house, move mountains of earth around the clock. The work is highly skilled and heavily regulated, with a strong emphasis on safety. But it takes a toll. The high altitude, dry air, and long shifts are physically wearing. The time away from home puts a strain on relationships. A miner returning home after a week in the mountains is often exhausted, needing time to readjust to family life. In recent years, the focus has expanded to include lithium. In the salt flats of the Atacama, Chile has some of the world's largest reserves of this crucial component for modern batteries. The dynamic is the same. It brings wealth and jobs to a remote region, while raising complex questions about water usage and environmental impact. For the workers, it is a source of pride to know they are powering the global economy, but it is also a life of sacrifice. With over 6,000 kilometers of coastline, the Pacific Ocean is a fundamental part of Chile's identity. Life along the coast is a world away from the dry interior or the bustling capital. In the chaotic, colorful port city of Valparaiso, life tumbles down steep hillsides in a maze of winding streets, brightly painted houses, and creaking funicular elevators. It is a city of sailors, students, and artists, a place with a bohemian soul and a gritty, working-class heart. Further down the coast, in small fishing coves known as caletas, life is simpler and harder. Fishermen head out in the early morning darkness to work the cold, nutrient-rich waters of the Humboldt Current. Their lives are governed by the weather and the unpredictable sea. They return to sell their catch at the local fish market, a vibrant hub of community life. The ocean dictates what people eat. Seafood is a staple of the Chilean diet, from simple fried fish to complex stews like paella marina. The coast provides recreation for families in the summer and shapes the climate with its cool coastal fog. To live on the coast is to live in a constant dialogue with the immense power and bounty of the Pacific. For most Chileans, life is a constant calculation of income versus expenses. While Chile is often cited as one of South America's wealthiest economies, that wealth is not evenly distributed, and the cost of living, especially in Santiago, can be high. The minimum wage provides a basic safety net, but it is not enough to support a family in a major city. A more typical salary for a skilled worker or young professional might be 2 or 3 times the minimum, but even this can be stretched thin. The biggest expense is housing. Rent for a modest apartment in a middle-class Santiago neighborhood can easily consume a third or even half of a young person's monthly salary. This is followed by the cost of food, transportation, and utilities. One of the defining features of the Chilean economy is the widespread use of credit. Many people rely on credit cards and department store cards to pay for everything from groceries to appliances, often paying in installments or quotas. This makes life more manageable in the short term, but also means many families carry significant debt. The private pension system is another source of constant worry. Widely criticized for providing inadequate retirement incomes and forcing many elderly people to continue working or rely on their families for support. For the average Chilean, economic life is a careful balancing act in a system that can feel both modern and unforgiving. To understand the true cost of living in Chile, you have to look at the choices people make. A young couple in Santiago might earn what seems like a good salary, but after paying high rent, they must budget carefully for groceries. They might choose to live far from the city center in a cheaper neighborhood, but this means spending 2 or 3 hours a day commuting on crowded public transport. A family with children faces another set of costs. While public education is available, many middle-class families feel pressured to pay for private schools, hoping to give their children a better chance at university. Healthcare is a similar story, with a mix of public and private options. The public system can be slow, so many people pay for private health insurance if they can afford it. In a smaller city in the south, the financial picture is different. Salaries are generally lower than in Santiago, but the cost of living is also significantly less. Rent is more affordable. People might grow some of their own food. The daily commute might be a 10-minute walk. 2 people earning the same salary can have vastly different qualities of life depending on where they live. This regional inequality is one of the biggest challenges facing the country. In the face of economic pressures and long work hours, the family remains the bedrock of Chilean society. It is the primary source of emotional and financial support. Family gatherings are frequent and important. The weekend asado, or barbecue, is a cherished tradition. It is a slow, relaxed affair that can last all afternoon, a time for different generations to come together, share food, and catch up. The traditional family structure, with multiple generations living close by, is becoming less common in the cities, but the bonds remain incredibly strong. Grandparents often play a key role in raising their grandchildren, especially if both parents work. Adult children may live at home until they get married, not just for financial reasons, but because it is culturally normal. The ritual of once is another pillar of family life. This evening meal is a time to put work aside and connect. It is a moment of calm in a busy day, a tradition that reinforces the importance of family togetherness. Social life for many Chileans revolves around this close circle of family and a trusted group of longtime friends. Chilean food is not spicy or flashy. It is hearty, comforting, and deeply connected to the country's geography and history. The empanada de pino, a baked pastry filled with minced meat, onions, olives, and a hard-boiled egg, is a national icon. Pastel de choclo, a sweet corn casserole with a meat filling, is the ultimate comfort food. And the completo, a hot dog loaded with an enormous amount of toppings, including mashed avocado and mayonnaise, is a beloved street food classic. The long coastline means that seafood is abundant and excellent. From the simple fried fish of a coastal diner to the rich caldillo de congrio, a conger eel stew immortalized by the poet Pablo Neruda, the flavors of the Pacific are never far away. The Central Valley provides a bounty of fruits and vegetables. Avocados, or palta, are a national obsession, eaten at all times of day, most commonly mashed on toast for breakfast. And then there is the wine. Chile is one of the world's great wine-producing nations, and wine is an integral part of any social gathering, a source of national pride that is enjoyed by people from all walks of life. Food in Chile tells the story of the country, a blend of indigenous ingredients, Spanish colonial traditions, and the incredible bounty of its land and sea. In the south-central regions of Chile, particularly in Araucanía, life is shaped by the presence of the Mapuche people, the country's largest indigenous group. For the Mapuche, whose name means people of the earth, identity is inextricably linked to the land. Many Mapuche live in rural communities where they strive to maintain their language, Mapudungun, their spiritual traditions, and their connection to their ancestral territories. Agriculture and craftsmanship are important parts of the local economy. But this is not a world frozen in the past. Younger Mapuche are increasingly moving to cities like Temuco and Santiago for education and work. They are doctors, lawyers, artists, and professionals navigating the challenge of living in two worlds: modern, urban Chile and the ancient spiritual world of their ancestors. The relationship between the Mapuche and the Chilean state has been fraught with conflict for centuries, centered on the issue of land rights. This has led to ongoing protests and social tension in the south. To understand this part of Chile is to understand that for the Mapuche, the struggle for land is not just an economic or political issue, it is a struggle to preserve their very identity. The younger generation of Chileans grew up in a democracy with access to technology and a global perspective unimaginable to their parents. They are ambitious, politically aware, and often deeply frustrated with the inequalities that persist in their country. University education is a major aspiration, but it can be expensive, leaving many students with significant debt. After graduating, they face a competitive job market and the challenge of housing affordability. The social outburst, or Estallido Social, of 2019 was a pivotal moment for this generation. Millions took to the streets to demand fundamental changes to the country's economic model, calling for better pensions, healthcare, and education. While the political process that followed has been complex, the movement revealed the deep desire of young people for a fairer society. They are a generation that is connected, informed, and impatient for change. They are creating startups, leading social movements and redefining what it means to be Chilean in the 21st century. The education and healthcare systems in Chile reflect the country's economic model, with a stark division between public and private services. In education, while the public school system is free, many middle-class families who can afford it opt for private schools, believing they offer a higher quality of education and a better path to university. This creates a two-tiered system from a very young age. Healthcare is similar. The public system, FNASA, covers the majority of the population, but it can be underfunded and plagued by long waiting lists. The private system, ISAPRE, offers better and faster care, but at a high cost. For an ordinary family, a serious illness can become a major financial crisis. These inequalities in access to basic services are among the most significant challenges in modern Chilean society. To travel south from Santiago is to enter a different country. The dry, sun-baked landscape of the center gives way to a world of constant green, of deep forests, and of persistent rain. In cities like Valdivia or Puerto Montt, life is adapted to the wetter climate. The pace is slower, more provincial. The connection to the natural world is more immediate. Further south, on the island of Chiloé, a unique culture has developed with its own mythology, architecture, and cuisine. Life here is tied to the sea and the small-scale farm. It is a world of wooden churches, fishing boats, and a strong sense of community, forged by isolation. In this part of Chile, people heat their homes with wood-burning stoves. They wear wool and waterproofs. They are accustomed to grey skies and long, dark winters. It is a life that requires a different kind of fortitude, a resilience not to the dryness of the desert, but to the cold and the damp of the southern forests. After showing the costs, the long hours, the earthquakes, the isolation, and the enormous distances, the question remains, why do people call Chile home? The answer is as varied as the country itself. For many, it is simply and powerfully about family. It is the unbreakable bonds, the Sunday asados, the feeling of being part of a network of support that is always there. For others, it is a deep connection to a specific place. For a fisherman from Chiloé, it is the sea he has known his whole life. For a winemaker from the Central Valley, it is the soil that his family has worked for generations. For a resident of Patagonia, it is the wild, windswept freedom that cannot be found anywhere else. Even for the Santiaguino, caught in the daily grind, there is a fierce pride in their city and their country. There is a love for the food, the culture, the shared jokes, and the stunning, ever-present backdrop of the Andes. There is no single Chilean experience, but there is a shared resilience, a quiet pride, and a deep, often unspoken love for this long, narrow, and extraordinary strip of land. It is not just a place on a map. It is the place that holds their history, their identity, and their sense of belonging. It is home. A miner covered in dust steps off a bus and into the arms of his waiting family. A fisherman secures his boat as the evening fog rolls in from the Pacific. A Santiago metro train, packed with tired workers, rattles on its journey home beneath the city. A family gathers around a table for once, the sound of their conversation filling the warm kitchen. From the dry heat of the Atacama Desert to the cold winds of Patagonia, millions of different lives are stretched along this narrow edge of South America. They are people separated by thousands of kilometers of mountains, forests, and coastline, yet connected by the challenges, the joys, and the quiet resilience of everyday life in the country they all call Chile.